There by Asanowaka, very low stance on the ground, very flat, back flat, parallel to the ground, almost as low as he can possibly get without falling over. And look at the way he chucks his salt into the ring. Now Asanowaka looks as though he's going to go for it.
Well, it doesn't seem to be doing much to Takananami. He seemed to smile and think that it was all a load of fuss for the crowd, but there's no stopping this little man. He's focused, he's really giving it his all.
Good start there by Asanowaka. Lots of determination, but, well, that's what Ozekis do to Maegashira.
No shortage of bravery, but the skill factor not quite high enough. And Takananami, well, he knew that was coming before the bout had started. Good brave attempt from Asanowaka, but as expected, the man who made the quarterfinals yesterday goes through, but there was that very determined throwdown of the salt. He came out like a man possessed, trying to take his opportunity of beating one of the greats of his sport, but as Sid Hoare, our expert, says, that's how they get dealt with if they get a little overzealous.
As you can see, they're heavy throws. I mean, people who think sumo's soft, I mean, he's landing on hard clay, crunch, and then he rolls down the side, and there's no mats to fall on in sumo. It's like solid ground underfoot.
Into the second half of the 32-man first round draw, and we have another Ozeki champion, Wakanohana, 1 meter 80, 130 kilograms. If you were with us yesterday evening, I should say, you will have seen Wakanohana knocked out by his brother in the semi-finals, and the organisers have made sure that they're in 2 separate draws this evening, so it's very unlikely that the brothers will meet, of course, unless they go all the way through to the final. He's up against Dashi, a Maegashira at 1 meter 81 in height, coming in at 164 kilograms. So this could be an interesting bout. The Maegashira has a both height and weight advantage and is on the right of your screens. And there is Wakanohana, the Ozeki, just one short of that ultimate and prestigious title and grade of Grand Champion.
Wakanohana has won one tournament, and so he's not that far from Yokozuna rank. He's younger than the other man and lighter. They've got age on his side, technique as well. He's won 6 technique prizes in competition, and that's getting into the record books. There's very few who win that number of technique prizes, so he's capable of a whole range of techniques, surprising techniques that can take much bigger men. Both men crouching down in the shikiri, more or less level. Sometimes the wrestlers start on the shikiri line, the shikiri stand, or sometimes they start back from it. The heavier the wrestler, the closer he is to the middle. The lighter the wrestler, the more he retires back and tries to get some impetus.
Yeah, it's a good, powerful and dynamic start for Daishi. He too is making the most of his opportunity up against an Ozeki.
They've settled onto the belt grip now. Wakanohana trying to get his left hand on, but cutting off the other man's grip with a kaina, that they call the kaina grip, high under the arm, cutting off his grip. There you see, he can't. He tried to get the grip and he spun him off his feet.
A superb technique shown by the man who really does hang his hat on the style in which he claims his victories. And here in slow motion, Sid, he seemed to be in control from the start there.
Yes, he cut off Daishi's grip on the right. Daishi was trying to get that grip. You can see that hand flapping around, and then suddenly he switched sides, pulled on his belt and flipped him the other way.
Very impressive indeed. Mitu Izumi is next up against Koto Nishiki. Now, Koto Nishiki is the top grade of the Maegashira, so is due to go up if he can continue his current form to Komusubi, and will start as favourite. But the bigger man, Mitozumi, 194 and 195 kilograms, also a Maegashira, but a much greater weight and height advantage. The bigger man will be on the left of your screens, and the smaller, higher-ranked fighter on the right.
Interestingly, both of these men have each won a tournament. And their sumo is very similar, both ski oshi men, pushers, but there is a considerable weight difference. Mito Izumi, 30 stone for British viewers, fights. Kotonishiki at 22 stone, so there's an 8 stone difference here. On the other hand, Kotonishiki's won just about every prize that's going, 4 outstanding performer prizes, 3 fighting spirit prizes, 4 technique prizes, so he's an all-round sumo fighter. Tough, capable of anything, able to handle the big men. There you see the difference in height. It should be an interesting one, technique versus size. Bit of a nirami eye there, men staring at each other. They say that the way the salt is thrown into the ring says something about the wrestlers, the rikishi's character. The larger-than-life characters have huge handfuls. The mean, the nasty ones, they chuck a little bit into the ring.
Well, this really will be an interesting bout. The smaller man has the higher grade. Both very experienced, determined, and you can sense the needle out there. The bigger man knows he has the advantage, but the smaller wrestler, and you can see there,
there's the salt.
Puts it into the crowd. It's supposed to be in the ring, but there certainly is, the tension is starting to rise here, and this will be a very interesting bout indeed. Time up from the referee.
What a brilliant win there by Kotonishiki. Had Mito Izumi rocking on his heels, and he kept him there virtually the whole way.
Well, I hope you see the slow-mo of the start there, because Kotonishiki came out with incredible speed, flying at his opponent. The only way perhaps he could get the better of the bigger man's weight. Here's the indication on how the temperatures were rising. The needle between these two had developed throughout the preparation period. But here we see Kotonishiki taking full advantage of his lesser weight and thus quicker speed, and out he goes.
There you see Mito Izumi's heel on the edge, rocking on the edge, and back came Kotonishiki slamming in with his head there, keeping that huge bolt going, 30 stone, 300 pounds or more, considerably more than that, shoving him out and then over the edge.
Kotonishiki goes through to the second round and qualifies for the last 16. Fighting strength is Takotoriki, Maegashira at 1 meter 80, 145 kilograms. He's up against Tomonohana, also of a Maegashiri grade, but a much smaller and considerably lighter wrestler, 1 meter 75 in height and 113 kilograms. One of the lightest men here. So for me, Takotoriki has the advantage, and it'll be an interesting one. But we've just seen the smaller man get the heavier, or the better I should say, of the heavier and taller opponent.
They're both fairly old in sumo terms, coming towards 30. The Takotoriki there on the left has won 5 what they call Kimboshi gold stars, which means he's beaten 5 Yokozuna in his Makuuchi career. So he's capable of upsetting the top men. On the other hand, Tomonohana on the right, he'd gone up to Komusubi rank in his time. He's won 2 technique prizes, 2 Ginosho, and he comes through from the university ranks. He's been doing sumo a very long time, even before he got into pro sumo. Tomonohana, lighter man, around 18 stone, a bit light really for this division, against 23 stone Takotoriki. There you can see the difference. Good Nirami eye there, a little bit of tension. Two men from different stables. Takatoriki from the Futagoyama stable. They're currently the top stable in Japan. And Tomonohana from Tatsunami stable. Now there you see Takatoriki jumping the gun, and the referee said mata, which means stop. You've got to start together. You've got to start fairly.
Well, one senses that both of these wrestlers are determined to go through to the next round.
There's a bit of aggravation here for sure. Well, Takatoriki there took his chances, but the referee spotted it. And Tomonohana doesn't like it, and he throws that salt down. I'm not having this nonsense, he says. But he's the smaller man.
Well, whether it be for the crowd or not, there's a lovely quick move.
Beautiful sidestep. Hataki Komi by Tomonohana. Slap down.
Just a little over-aroused, a little too aggressive from Takatoriki. Tomonohana goes through. The lighter man, for the second time in succession, goes through, putting out the heavier and taller opponents. And there was no shortage of determination from both performers, but read the fight very well. Takatoriki just stepping to the side, and the big man, well, was pushing too far forwards too soon, Sid.
Yeah, that's always the problem with sumo. If you go in too hard and the other fella steps out the way, you go flying. So it's always this balance between caution and going full out. And he went full out, and unfortunately he missed his opponent.
Well, we move on, and the big and the small man battle continues. The biggest and the heaviest of them all, Konishiki, known as Little Apron, but why he's called Little Apron I don't know, because by no means is Konishiki a small performer. Comes in at 1.83 m. He's not very tall, but the weight 275 kilograms. Up against Tosonomi, 1.85 m and 136, so almost 140 kilos heavier, and you can see it for yourself.
Well, as you can see, putting it in stone, Konishiki, 44 stone, fights half his weight, 22 stone.
Well, Sid, one has to wonder how Japanese airlines actually got these guys over, because I'm sure you couldn't put them all in one jumbo jet at once with the luggage. They must have put 2 or 3 of them on a plane at a time. I
think it's not so much the seats. I mean, I guess they can double it, they can spread out the seats, but you wonder how Konishiki gets in the loo on the plane.
Well, he really is an amazing sight, and it's not all fat and blubber, I can assure you, because Konishiki can move pretty quick as well, and has had no problem in yesterday's bout going through into the quarterfinals, only to be knocked out there. And also Tosonomi is a very quick-moving Maegashira.
Konishiki has won 3 tournaments now as a previous Ozeki rank. He's not Ozeki now, he's Maegashira. He's sliding down the slippery pole, but as previous Ozeki rank and 3 tournament wins, he should have qualified for Yokozuna. But well, the sumo elders, they had to make the first decision on whether to make a foreigner Yokozuna, and they balked at this. But eventually, of course, Akebono came through. Well, Konishiki is called Sally by the Japanese. Don't ask me where that name come from, but that's his favorite nickname out there, Sally. I think Channel 4 used to call him Dump Truck, but nobody in Japan has ever heard of that name. Sally, they call him in Japan. Great favorite of the Japanese. Well liked.
I wonder if they call him Sally to his face, so, to be honest.
I don't think he's bothered. I don't know where they get it from, but...
Konishiki is the favorite to go through to the second round, not only in weight and height, but also in experience. And not settling the referee, and again the staring, the needle. It's not a friendly, and as Sid was pointing out in yesterday's program, there are a lot of fighters who don't often meet each other due to stables never fighting in-house, and also there has been a lot of tension here. These guys really do want to perform to their best in front of this European crowd. It's so rare that they're over here. Only the 7th time many of these warriors have stepped outside of Japan. And it's quite important, an awful lot of pride at stake to try and take this title here in Europe.
And Tosonomi coming out fast, trying to rock Konishiki back on his heels, but against a heavy man like that, if you don't get him rocking, you've got problems. And there's his problem. Superior weight, 22 stone, dismisses a mere 22 stone. 44 stone versus 22.
And Konoshiki there really standing his ground, letting his opponent know, and possibly disheartening Tosonomi, who was really giving 101%, but unable to move him back or push his weight back. And then Konoshiki makes his move and his attack and throws him out of the ring with ease.
So there you see, just moving forward, pushing him with his weight, gets him to the edge and then thrusts him out, crashes him into the waiting wrestler.
Of course, the wrestler's not allowed to strike with fists, no hair pulling, eye gouging, choking and kicking in the stomach or chest. So
the other thing they're not allowed to do is to grab the front part of the vertical part of the mawashi. So if a wrestler's belt comes undone, he loses the bout. Very rarely happens though.
Let's move on. Kaio won 245 fights and has lost 192. Sekawaki is the third highest grade you can be, up against Takamisugi, a Maegashira, the smaller and shorter fighter. So the 22-year-old Kaio is the favorite for this one. On the left of your screens in the red belt, Takamisugi in the blue on the right.
Takamisugi now coming towards the end of his sumo career, 34 years old, which is not to say that he inevitably loses. I mean, Chiona Fuji was winning tournaments, the grand champion of just a few years ago. Top man who ruled the roost for 10 years. Chiona Fuji was winning tournaments at 35 years old. So it's still possible to win at that age, but from about middle 30s, well, they're thinking about retirement. Fighting a much younger man, 23 years old, Kaio on the left there. Weight for weight, very similar, both about 23 stone. Weight, of course, goes up and down quite a bit. Very difficult always to say exactly how much they weigh. As much as possible, they try and keep weight on, so they eat a lot of food. Traditional food, chankonabe, which is in the stable is like a huge stew into which they chuck just about everything. Chickens, pork, beef, rice, you name it. It all goes in the stew and they stuff themselves with it.
So the experience of Takamisugi up against Kaio, very much the rising star. Kaio from the Tomazuna stable.
Takamisugi looked slightly surprised at that point there. He'd started off with a good slap attack, then it settled onto the belt, and I think he thought, well, this is it, and couldn't quite believe it.
Kaio goes through quite comfortably there as well. He goes into the second round of 16. A lot of good work early on, perhaps, for Takamisugi. Again, Kaio waiting patiently, taking his move.
So, good lift there, and Yorikiri force out. Takamisugi can't get the belt, you see. The other man dominating with the grips, and then slams the feet down and lifts. There you go, up and out. Yorikiri.
Minato Fuji, Maegashira, in at 1m86 and 162 kilos, has a weight but not a particular height advantage over his opponent, Nami no Hana. He comes in at 1m79 and 135 kilos, so just under 30 kilograms lighter. So again, an interesting bout. Minato Fuji, perhaps this man here on the left of your screens, will be the favorite. It's quite an open contest.
Yes, it's fairly evenly balanced here. Of course, there is the weight difference. Both experienced men had roughly the same number of bouts, nearly 700 bouts in their sumo career. Similar number of bouts in the Makuuchi division, the top division. Nami no Hana has won one fighting spirit prize. Minato Fuji hasn't won any particular prize, but he's He's slightly older, Minato Fuji, at 27 years old, against the younger Naminohana, 24. Typical of the men in sumo now, there's a distinct new young group coming into sumo. All around the 23, 24 years old mark. Good technicians, adapting as they go along and producing interesting sumo. Naminohana comes from the Futagoyama stable, the same one as the champion Takanohana. And currently this is the top stable. This is where all the top men train. And this is where all the young aspiring sumo novices wish to enter. Minato Fuji on the left there, before he took up sumo, did judo, and that's usually interesting because it tends to make them slightly more technical. It's not that judo is that useful in sumo, but it does add a little bit extra. Yesterday we saw a brilliant judo throw in the middle of the sumo competition. He didn't win, unfortunately, because the thrower's knee went down, but judo does enlarge their technical repertoire somewhat. Good tachi-ai start there. Both men crashed in hard. And now they've settled onto the belt grip. Bigger man. Minato Fuji wins. Uses his weight more successfully. Almost went out himself. And here you hear the referee calling up. Minato Fuji. Kachinanori.
Minato Fuji seen here on the left of the screens, forcing the man out of the circle. Very close indeed, quite evenly matched. There, steps outside first, and Minato Fuji goes through to the second round. Coming to the end of the second section, or the second draw, 2 more bouts to go. Wakashoyo made the quarterfinals yesterday, 1m80, comes in 170 kilograms, up against Misty Island Kirishima, a taller wrestler at 1m86, but considerably lighter at 123 kilograms. Kirishima going out the first round yesterday, but both of them Maegashira grade. So another interesting bout, Sid. Certainly an advantage of weight from Wakashoyo.
Well, Kirishima, he's the granddad of this tournament. At 36 years old, he's been there, seen it, done it all, and got the Kesho Mawashi to go with it, the apron. Great technician. He's won 1 tournament. He's beaten 2 Yokozuna in his time. He's won technique prizes 4 times. Capable of anything. A man at that age and that size has got to be good to survive these big fellows. Wakashoyo there, 26.5 stone against 20 stone. Wakashoyo himself, not exactly that young, coming up for 30. Had 770 bouts, sumo bouts, since his entry into pro sumo, of which 270 were in the Makuuchi division. On the other hand, Kirishima has had something like 1,400 bouts in pro sumo and over 1,300 in the Makuuchi division. A lot of experience. Probably the most experienced man in this tournament. Got a man of tension there. Always adds spice to the match, because these fellas fight each other all the time, from one tournament to the next, and they know exactly how many times they've won, how many times they've lost, what their chances are. But their money they earn, their rankings all depend on winning. Wakashoyo trying to use his superior weight there, settling in on the belt, trying to lift Kirishima, but it's settled down. Kirishima looking for the technique that will spill the bigger man over. Kirishima right hand overarm grip. Almost spins Wakashoyo off his feet. Nearly got behind him, which of course is a very weak position for any wrestler. A lot of interplay of technique here, both men fighting for grips. Heads locked in tight, pushing into the upper body. Going for the belts again. And Wakashoyo's right on the edge. Kirishima can't quite do it. But the bigger man lifted him and turned. Uchari.
Wakashoyo there, showing some of the skills that took him to the quarterfinals yesterday. What a tremendous bout that was. The crowd really appreciating it. A whole host of different skills and techniques used to get to the end result, but it's Wakashoyo who goes through to the second round. Kirishima being knocked out there, which leaves us just one bout to go. That really was a mixture of all different styles and techniques there, Sid, and you can see these men aren't playing at it by the determination on those faces.
It looks like Wakashoyo there. It looks like he's trying to bite the other fellow. Of course, that's not allowed. But they were rocking right on the edge of the ring. They were standing on the tawara, the straw bales, and it was touch and go as to who was going to go out. Look, Kirishima there, just trying to nudge the man over, pushing his stomach in, but then Wakashoyo right on the edge, lifts and turns. And Kirishima goes out. Very interesting fight, that one.
Excellent qualifier. Well, the last bout gives us a chance to have a look at the winner of yesterday's competition and the second grand champion. Of course, the Yokozuna Akebono. Won 355 fights, only lost 140 from the Azumazaki stable, formerly from the United States of America in Hawaii. A big man, over 2 meters 3 tall, and also the second heaviest competitor comes in at 231 kilograms. Kyoko Dozan is also one of the lightest men in the competition, 105 kilograms and just 1 meter 82 in height. So we're back to that David and Goliath story again, Sid.
Well, people think sumo wrestlers are all massive. Well, here's Kyoko Dozan, veteran of the ring, 31 years old, 1,000 bouts in pro sumo, and he's only 16.5 stone. Well, he survived a long time, and he's done it purely on skill. And he's not particularly fat. In fact, if you were to see him without his top knot, you wouldn't think he was a sumo wrestler. Fighting at half Akebono's weight. But Kyoko Dozan, he's won 2 Fighting Spirit prizes. He's won 2 Outstanding Performance prizes, and he's risen to the rank of Komusubi, which is 4 down from the top, one of the top ranks. 31 years old. Well, it's difficult for an older, lighter man, but he's still in there fighting hard and winning.
Well, of course, Akebono is back from a knee injury, and in the final yesterday, we did think it was going to be the younger Grand Champion's night, Takanohana, but Akebono, Sid, really did seem to be not surprised, but certainly delighted in getting the better of the younger champion.
Yeah, Akebono lost the previous tournament, the September tournament, lost to Takanohana, and it seemed as if he lost too easily, and I think he wanted to get that back, and he did it yesterday. He won comfortably.
Well, now let's see what the small man can do against the giant, and the giant, the top performer in this sport, the best in the world.
Kyoko Dozan in hard, leading with his head straight into Akebono's chest. And he settled onto the belt, which is not a good idea with somebody twice your weight. Paused briefly, and Akebono just shoved him out. Arm strength. Skidashi.
Kyoko Dozan gets put out by the great Akebono, who easily goes through to the next round, but the bouts will get considerably harder as we've now whittled them down from 32 to 26. No shortage of determination and courage from Kyoko Dozan. Akebono, bigger, stronger, and certainly more experienced, and perhaps after yesterday evening's victory, brimming with confidence here in the Bercy Stadium.
Looks like some of the spectators there had a referee land on top of them, yes. I think perhaps the French spectators not used to this. Japanese don't mind wrestlers landing on them. There you see the difference between a ski, a thrust out, as opposed to a push. Ski, when the man leaves the hands, goes flying out.
So we move on to the second round, and coming up after the break will be the other grand champion, the Yokozuna, at the top of the first draw, and he will be up against Hamanoshima. Another good bout, as we've cut them down from 32 to 16 in this knockout competition for day 2 of the sumo tournoi from the Bercy Stadium in Paris. Some very impressive performances, no great upsets as yet, but it's in the quarters and the semi-finals when the Ozaki meet the Yokozuna where we'll see possibly 1 or 2 surprises. We'll take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with more live sumo in just a short while. Stay tuned.
Muhammad Ali is my brother. When we was kids, he used to get me to throw rocks at him so he could practice ducking and weaving. I never did hit him. He had natural ability, but he was short on muscles, so he trained hard and got real strong. Maybe not as strong as Sonny Liston, just strong enough to be the greatest heavyweight of all time, that's all.
22 years old, I must be the greatest!
In the most simple and natural way, Nokia creates television and communication systems to bring people closer together, today and in the future. Nokia. Televisions, video recorders, satellite receivers.
Boxing tonight at 11 p.m. on Eurosport.
Eurosport Live.
Welcome back to the Bercy Stadium in the heart of Paris for round 2. The second round, we're now down to 16 performers. This the round that takes them into the quarter-finals. It's the second Bashroi competition, and there will be 3, all held exclusively and live to Eurosport. Traditional sumo rituals, calling each and every one of the competitors into the ring, as this second round bout will be with the grand champion, the Yokozuna of Takanohona. 1 meter 85, 152 kilograms, 23 years of age, a lightweight in comparison to some, and he is up against Hamanoshima on the right of your screens, Amigashira, and he's just a little shorter, 1 meter 79 and 131 kilograms. So the favorite on the left of your screens has the weight advantage, but is one of the great favorites, a real superstar back home in Japan, and his name translates to noble flower.
It looks as if the Yokozuna Takanohana should handle Hamanoshima fairly easily, but then if you look at Hamanoshima's record, at one time he was Komatsubi rank. He's been an outstanding prize winner, outstanding performer prize winner. He came through the amateur sumo ranks, through the universities, did a lot of technical training there, and he's slightly heavier than Takanohana, but then all the records show that Takanohana should handle him fairly well. Takanohana had 11 tournament wins. As a young man at 23 years old, he's got a long way to go before he beats the great Taiho's number of tournament wins, which was 32. But at 23, he's capable of doing it. And they say that sumo is now entering the takanohana period, and possibly the akebono period, but akebono is slightly older.
Well, this 7 meter square special clay ring, then the circle which they fight within is just 4 meters 55. The roof above, known as the yukata, symbolizing the Shinto temple, and those 4 colored knots of braille around the outside, they represent the 4 seasons. Really is a unique sport with a quite impressive balance of etiquette and traditional ritual and explosive wrestling action. So the favorite is the man in the green belt on the left, and already looks for the early throw, but it's a brave fight from Hamanoshima. Out, up, and away he goes.
Yes, very easily handled there by Takanohana. Slightly rocky at the beginning, but got too much experience to let Hamanoshima get him moving over the edge.
Takanohana, if you were with us yesterday evening, was beaten by Akebono in the final, and I'm sure he's looking for a revenge on that bout.
Here you see Yotsu Sumo, 4 hands on the belt, twisting and turning, and then a big heave by Takanohana. Heave, and twist, and turn, and yorikiri. Force out.
Kotonowaka is a komusubi, which is the 4th highest grade, and he's up against Mizugisato, a Maegashira, 2nd top in the Maegashira. Not a lot of difference between these two in height. Kotonowaka, the heavier, at 171 kilograms. He's 27 years of age. 157 kilograms for Mizugisato, 33 years of age, the most experienced of the two.
Interesting little ritual there. You see Takanohana hands the ladle of water to Kotonowaka, and it's tradition for a winning wrestler, the previous bout, to hand the water over. The losing wrestler doesn't hand the water over. And this is the Chikara Mizu, the power water, not for taking a quick swig, but for cleaning the mouth out, cleaning it out for ritual purposes, and then spitting it out.
Kotonowaka is on the left in the blue belt, and this is Mizugisato on the right of your screens in the green.
There you see the leg high, the so-called shiko, the leg stamp to the ground. One of the chief training methods for developing leg strength in sumo. In normal training, they'll do 300, 400, 500 leg stamps from side to side, spending half an hour or more just stamping the ground. It's a real killer for those not used to it. Hanging from the belt are the sagari, which have no real function. When the wrestlers crouch down, it makes them look a bit like fighting cocks, but it's not intended to be like that. Quite often they fall off in the bout and the referee will just kick them out the way. Mizugisato, on the right, in his time, has beaten 5 yokozuna. He's got 5 kimboshi. He's a married man, he's got 1 son and 1 daughter. Veteran of the ring, 33 years old, 25 stone. Against 27.5 stone, Kotonowaka. And time's up.
Kotonowaka, the favorite, higher grade performer. Now, let's see. Oh, and there's a good throw.
And very nicely done with that Kotonowaka. Slightly unusual throw. Looked like, as they say in sumo, naimuso. Hand on the inside of the leg and spinning him over sideways.
Kotonowaka will need all of those skills because he will meet Takanohana in the quarterfinals.
There you see the hand going on the thigh, turning and lifting. Right hand on the thigh. And Mizugisato hit the deck just before he did. And that gave Kotonowaka the win. Hand on the inside, just enough to tip him over.
And that's one of the most spectacular throws we've seen so far in this competition. Now another very professional and highly graded wrestler, Musashimaru, 24 years of age. Now an Ozeki, 1m90 and 196 kilograms. A very big and powerful sumo wrestler. Made the semi-finals and was knocked out by yesterday evening's winner, Akibono. And he's up against Kenko, Shining Sword, I believe, is the translation of Kenko. It's nothing to do with the brand of coffee that we're more familiar with in the Western world. And Kenko really was another impressive performer at the Maegashiri, 28 years of age, also 1m91, so not a lot of difference in height, but some 50 kilograms lighter than Musashi Maru.
Musashi Maru comes from the Musashigawa stable, the Musashigawa Beya, and that's where he gets his name from. Musashigawa stable, and his name is Musashi Maru. Maru just means round, so it's fairly appropriate. Heavier man, won most of his fights in the Makuuchi division. 245 wins to 100 losses, which is a very high win-loss rate. Most wrestlers tend to average out a bit. 110 wins, say 100 losses. But he's youngish, 24 years old, rising, good chance of becoming Yokozuna. He's had one Basho win, needs at least one, possibly two more Basho wins, two more tournament wins to make the Grand Champion rank, and the right personality. You see the wrestlers, they crouch down, the knees go wide and they sink down, they open their legs, sink down. Takes a bit of practice to do that, not easy to do. Keep their heels on the ground, and then they lower their hands to the Shikiri-sen.
So on form, Musashi Maru is the favorite. On the left of your screens in the blue belt, Kenko is in the green belt on the right, and is easily dealt with by Musashi Maru, and he's looking very strong, so this could prove perhaps a problem if he continues to go through the rounds with this kind of form and ease for the two grand champions who he's destined to meet in the semi-finals with Takanohona.
Yes, he's a very positive pushing sumo, ski, oshi sumo. Uses his weight very effectively, doesn't take a lot of chances, just pushes on the body there, you can see, brushes aside the other man's attempts to deflect his arms, uses his stomach and against the head, and then when he gets his hand on the chest, on the edge, he just sends him flying.
Well, it's time to see another champion in action. Noble Wave is Takanonami, and he's up against Higonoumi. Higonoumi, the lower graded wrestler on the left of your screens. Higonoumi, 25 years of age, 1m83, and coming in at 141 kilograms. Takanonami, 23 years of age, much taller, much heavier wrestler, 1m97 and 160 kilograms. Made the quarterfinals in yesterday's competition. And again, on paper, the man on the right in the blue belt. Close up now to the screen, just one off the great accolade and highest grade of Yokozuna. Should take this one with ease.
Takanonami on the right there, considerably taller than the other man, which is not necessarily an advantage, but with a great range of technique in sumo, there are techniques for the taller man. Considerably heavier, 26 stone, Takanonami fights 22 stone Higonoumi. Takanonami from the top stable, the Futagoyama Beya, the Futagoyama stable, and the favorite to win, Ozeki, one rank from the top. Ozeki means the great barrier, and that's literally what it is. I mean, it's to get to that rank is like crashing through a huge barrier, and then to go from that to Yokozuna is an enormous step. Very few men, 1 in 500, get to Ozeki. So time's up, says the ref. Takanonami looking comfortable there, and throws his man, throws Higonoumi a totari. throw technique for Toto. Arm under the right arm under his armpit, spins him over.
And there is proclaimed the victor of that bout.
There you see the arm tucked underneath. He's pushing his head down, turning round to his left and trapping the arm, driving the head down and spinning him over. Comfortable win there for Takanonami. Hand on the back of the head, arm trapped and spun over.
Well, into the second half of the draw, Wakanohana up against Koto Nishiki. Now, Wakanohana, the older brother of Takanohana, who is a grand champion. Wakanohana, just a champion Ozeki, and, well, a little bit smaller and lighter than his younger brother, 1 meter 80 and 130 kilograms. And Koto Nishiki is coming in at 1 meter 77, but with a weight advantage at 1 meter 44. Komusubi is the grade of Koto Nishiki, which is the 4th highest grade attainable.
It looks like Wakanohana as Ozeki should beat Kotonohana there, or Wakanohana there on the left should beat Koto Nishiki on the right, but Koto Nishiki, he's had 1 tournament win. There's very few wrestlers that get a tournament win, but he's had 1 of them. He's won 4 technique prizes, 4 Ginosho, 3 Kantosho, 3 fighting spirit prizes, and 4 outstanding performer prizes, Shukunsho. So he just cannot be dismissed. It's a strong challenge to Wakanohana as Ozeki. Wakanohana, on the other hand, is younger man, 24 years old, a rising star, slightly lighter than the other man. But it's the young ones now that are coming through strongly. So youth versus age, tricky technique on Koto Nishiki's part against the more solid strength of Ozeki Wakanohana. Time's up. Good mix of techniques there from the initial tachi-ai.
And Wakanohana's having to work for this one.
A little judo trip there on the inside, another trip on the outside. It's rocking backwards and forwards, both men now settling in. Yotsusumo, 4 hands on the belt. Very strong attack there by Koto Nishiki. Wakanohana having to dig in deep there. Lovely turn there, almost had him over. Couldn't quite do it. This is like 20-stone ballet dancers pirouetting in the ring. And a wate nagi, overarm throw, wate dashi nagi.
And the first upset, it looks to be Koto Nishiki looked to have got the better of Wakanohana there. The crowd certainly enjoyed that, by far the best bout of the evening. The jury called in. The decision has to be made. It was very close indeed. We'll certainly watch the slow-mo to see the jury, who do have the benefit of closed-circuit television, as explained by Sid in yesterday's bout when they have the competitions in Japan. We'll take a look at the slow-mo. That was so close, Sid.
That was very close, wasn't it? It's interesting when the judges come in. Sometimes they've got a better view. The referee can be, the Gyoji can be unsighted.
Well, Koto Nishiki really did come out with all the focus and determination to try and depose the higher graded wrestler.
So the chief judge there gives his explanation of what happened, and it looks like he's ordered a torinaoshi, a rematch. So it was so close that the referee and the 4 judges, they couldn't decide. Lovely bout, real mix of technique there. You can see the fight flowing backwards and forwards.
And there really was an amazing array of skills, and one feels that Wakanohana was really caught off his guard early on in the bout. But they've been sent back to do it all over again, and maybe now Wakanohana will not go in as casually and will start with a little more aggression than he did just a few moments ago, because Koto Nishiki really did go for the moment there and perhaps was a little unlucky not to knock out the more established and higher graded wrestler.
And as I said, Nick Kotonishiki, he's got a lot of technique, very tricky customer, very difficult for an Ozeki to fight. Now there you see an example. He leapt in the air and then he tried to kick Wakanohana's legs away. Didn't succeed, but what an amazing mix of technique. Capable of anything. Really giving, look at that. Twisting, turning, anything but go over the edge.
And the crowd really delighted, ecstatic. And this is a marvellous display, and it's by no means over yet, and they're battling it again, but now Wakanohana is using the weight advantage.
Wakanohana hooking his leg on the inside, and another tricky decision, I think.
Well, there's no denying that Kotonishiki is by far the most entertaining and wonderful array of styles and techniques. And let's hope we see that leap in the air again at the beginning. Said, I actually jumped off my chair there. I didn't know what was happening at all. And it's been given to Wakanohana. Now, that is a shame, because Kotonishiki really did entertain and also show us some thrilling moves.
Look at that jump, almost over his head. And then he kicks on his leg, see on the inside there, Ketaguri, inside leg kick to try and destabilize the man. Wakanohana survived it, and the fight flowed on, twisting and turning. Look, he almost had him over the edge, and then he pirouettes. He arches backwards, a Zori technique, a back arch technique, settles in on the belt again, twisting and turning, taking Wakanohana all over the ring. Left hand, right hand inside grip, pushes him over and off the edge, but unfortunately touches down.
Kotonishiki touching the floor before Wakanohana, and that really is a shame, because that, I'm sure you will agree, was pure entertainment and a true indication of the maneuverability, flexibility and dynamic moves that these wrestlers are capable of. It's not just a question of brute strength and pushing, and what a shame Kotonishiki has to find himself out in this second round. Wakanohana goes through to the quarterfinals, and now we go to the big man there on the right of your screens, Konishiki, 31-year-old, 275 kilograms, and he's up against Tomanohana at 113 kilograms. Here we go again, the giants v the little guys. But he's got to try and get away from this very powerful push technique that Konishiki relies on. And one has to think that maybe some of the styles that Kotonishiki showed us in the last bout, Sid, would really give the smaller man here the possibility of putting out this giant in the second round.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When Konishiki sometimes goes forward too fast, and then if the other man sidesteps slightly, he seems unable to recover his weight, and he crashes down, bites the dust. And some of the criticism of Konishiki when he was coming up for Yokozuna consideration was the undignified way that he crashed down sometimes. They felt he had to lose more gracefully. Well, I guess it's difficult if you're that big, but Tomanohana, they're both about the same age, veterans of the ring, 31 years old Tomanohana versus 32-year-old Konishiki. And there you see, when it gets near the final shikiri, the final crouch down, they slap their belts as they go to the edge.
Really is amazing to think that Konishiki, 275 kilograms, can still, if need be, dance around this 4.55 circle. And it's a daunting task for Tomanohana.
Not too much eyeballing here. Well, oh no, I say that. Yes, there's a fair bit. Neither of them giving in. Konishiki's Sabin, almost Yokozuna. Won many prizes, won 3 tournaments, up against Tomanohana, who was Komusubi, but has also won 2 prizes for technique, so a tricky customer. $18 stone versus 44 stone. Time's up.
And there goes the big man. down with a huge sudden roar from the crowd. But there is the example, and 275 kilograms can be thrown.
Well, it looked like Tomohana had it, didn't he? He was just being hustled to the edge, and he thought, well, that's it, 44 stone, he's going to win. And then at the end, he just twisted, and Konishiki wasn't able to do much about it.
And the crowd delighted to see Tomohana go through. Kinishiki goes out, and look at this in slow-mo. Really timed with perfection here, right on the edge of the ring. You can see the determination in his face, but he got him over.
And he landed on top of him as well. I suppose it's better than having Konishiki land on top.
Other way around, that would have been a frightening result, to say the least. But congratulations, Tomohana goes through to the quarterfinals, where he'll meet Wakanohana.
In the underarm grip, the right hand grip under the arm, shtate nagi. And it's amazing how these big guys can be upset with that twisting throw. Good touchy eye start, right hand goes in, catches on the belt, and they're pulling around, twisting. Two hands underneath, which is a good strong position. And look, there's Konishiki, slaps the ground, felt he shouldn't have lost that.
Well, now we go back to Kaio on the left of your screens, up against Minato Fuji. Sekiwaki, I should say, is the third highest grade available, and that is the grade of Kaio on the right. In the lighter belt, on the left of your screens, Minato Fuji. Quite evenly matched in both height and weight. But Kaio, of course, much higher grade and ranking than the Maegashira of Minato Fuji.
Yes, not too much difference in rank. Sekiwaki, one down from Ozeki, just above Komusubi, but Minato Fuji at Maegashira 2 is pretty close to the top of Maegashira. Kaio, the younger man, 23-year-old, one of the young stars of sumo now, against the older Minato Fuji, 27. Weight, not too different. Minato Fuji, 25 stone, fights the 23 stone Kaio. Time's up, says the ref. Matanashi.
Well, again, that seemed to be a misfortunate slip from Minato Fuji. And Kaio in the red belt goes through, and he will meet the giant killer, Tomohana, who put out the big man in the last battle.